Good morning, my name is Jeremy Meadows. I'm an assistant principal at San Diego Academy. I have the pleasure of welcoming our guest speaker, Mr. Keith Hawkins. I have a little bit of background information that I'd like to share. Keith Hawkins has endured some of life's most difficult hardships as an adolescent and throughout his teenage years. Being raised most of this youth by a single mom and then with abusive stepdad surrounded by violence, most days Keith felt hopeless. It wasn't until Keith realized that the unfortunate things happening around him were not by his choice, and even more important, he could choose how to live his own life. Being in a leadership as a high schooler taught him that every challenge in life is an opportunity to step up and make a difference. This is Keith's message, a message of hope and prosperity. Even through struggle, you can do and become whatever you want in our great nation as long as you're willing to step up to the challenges along the way. Keith Hawkins is an international speaker that addresses over 400,000 educators, business owners, parents, and students each year. He's addressed the United Nations Global Summit. He is featured in a national communication book by universities around the nation called Between One and Many, and co-authored the books entitled Teen Power and Beyond and Go Mad. Keith Hawkins is the creator of the program Day of Understanding that focuses on bringing people together through understanding and inclusion. Keith has dedicated his life and work to help improve the human race by helping them strive for positive personal growth in their lives. Today, Keith is speaking about the importance of challenging the impossible. Please welcome one of our country's top speakers in education, Mr. Keith Hawkins. Thank you very much.
Dr. Meadows, thank you so much for that introduction. San Diego Academy, I am so excited to speak with you guys today and be a part of this incredible message that we're trying to give to you guys. To be honest, I've been to your school a few times years ago, the start of my career. And when I came to your school and I looked around, I was so nervous. I was so nervous because when I was there was people who didn't really look like me. I think I saw 4 or 5 African-American students and that was it. So I was nervous about how the audience will receive my message. How would they perceive who I am as a person? Can I connect with these people? And I just remember when it was all said and done, I remember how inclusive you guys were and how accepting of you guys were, and just you received my message, but you also accepted me with open arms. And I walked away going, man, what an incredible culture at your school. And I know that you're probably known for that in terms of just accepting people and making everybody feel like they're somebody. I just want you to know, I know it takes a lot of hard work, and you made me feel that way. And so I'm excited to speak with you again and be a part of what's going on today. There was one young person that I would never forget at your school. When I was done speaking, he came up to me and he said, how am I supposed to save everybody? And I looked at him, I said, dude, it's not about saving everybody, but it's about just coming to school when you don't want to be there and just having a good vibe, good energy, being cool with everybody, giving everybody the California hello. You know what I'm saying? Just smile at people. I said, if you do that, it's going to come right back. And that dude looked at me. He was really cool. And he said, man, I like that. And when he walked away, a teacher walked up to me and she goes, what did that young man say to you? I said, well, he was asking me about, how can he help other people? And I was telling him that you don't need to save everybody's life, but just be good to people. Be cool with people. Come to school with a good vibe. And the lady looked at me, she goes, Mr. Hawkins, that young man don't usually speak to people. For him to speak to you, that's huge. And I know you told him that you don't need to save people's lives, but to be honest with you, smiling at somebody can save their life. Coming to school, coming to work with good vibe, positive energy can save their lives. We enjoyed your message today. Man, I walked away from that school. I was so fired up. Let me just say this. I think at your school and so many schools, they're so used to speakers coming in and trying to motivate people. And the first thing I said was, I am not a motivational speaker. San Diego, I'm not going to get in front of you and go, be positive, think positive. If you fall in life, get back up, be positive. I can't do that. My first thought is this. I know there's some staff members going, be positive. They'll be off to the side going, come on, man, we work with teenagers. Be positive. What is that, a blood type? Y'all laughing. Be positive. Can you go home and just look at your homework and think positive and turn that in? Can you imagine you turn that into a teacher and the teacher looks at you like, man, what is this? Oh, that's my homework. There is nothing on here. I thought positive. What I'm saying is motivation. So many people right now going, we're lacking motivation. Well, guess what? Motivation doesn't come from a speaker. Motivation doesn't come from a teacher. Motivation doesn't come from parents. Motivation doesn't come from a coach. Motivation doesn't come from people. Motivation comes from effort. But effort has to come from you. Every day it takes effort to be motivated. I don't want to motivate you. I want to inspire people. To inspire people is to create change. To inspire people is when people listen to you, they go, man, this guy made me think. I want to inspire you. We want to inspire you. If you hear something today, write it down. If you hear something today, put it in your phone. We're trying to help. And I know doing virtual learning and this pandemic, this world has never experienced something like this. This country has never gone through something like this. So all of us are struggling. Some of us have so much stress right now. A lot of us are dealing with anxiety. Some of us have this isolation, this feeling of a sense of depression. We're all going through this. Write this down. There's two things inside each person. One is called self-doubt. One is called courage. Self-doubt is that little thing in your head that keeps reminding you of what's wrong. There's so many things in this country that is wrong right now. There's so many things to remind you of why you should be down. There's so many things to remind you why you shouldn't get up with purpose. And self-doubt is real. It is working on all of us every day. But self-doubt will never tell you the truth. I've lived with this. Self-doubt is the first thing to tell you that you're not good enough. You're not smart enough. You're too big, you're too small, you're too short. It says these things, but it is lying to you. Self-doubt doesn't want you looking at me. Self-doubt doesn't want you listening to me. Self-doubt is going to say things to you about me that disconnect what I'm saying. Self-doubt is real, but it will never tell you the truth. And if you don't get rid of doubt, it turns into fear. Please write it down. Fear. False evidence appearing real. First time at your school, I was scared. I had all this fear. These kids are not going to like me. They don't know my background. People don't go through what I went through. If I get up there and say this, they're going to look at me like I'm stupid. They're not going to care. They're going to roll their eyes. All of it is fear. I had a teacher once tell me when I was a freshman, Keith, we might live in a world of fear, but fear does not have to live in you. There's so many people walking around right now being fearful. I know it's in your home because it's in my home. And you hear people going, oh, there's no good people anymore. Oh, everything is bad. Oh, I'm moving. I'm getting away. Let me tell you this right now. You can't get rid away from fear. You can't run from it because fear isn't here. Yes, these things are real. Yes, these things are happening. But you got to have some courage. The second thing in our head is that courage. Courage is when you're scared, but you do it anyway. It's okay to be scared. During this time, it's okay to be scared. Be real with yourself. This is happening, but maybe it's not happening to you. Maybe it's happening for you. Maybe you're getting something out of this, but you don't even know it. This is shaping you to be the person that you will be. It is the hard times. But we have hard times and we have the good times. But it's the hard times that shapes us most. It's okay to be scared. But wake up every day and have a habit. Create habits. Remember this quote. You create habits, and habits will create you. If you get up every morning and you take 15 minutes out for yourself, if you get up, you meditate, you get up, you read, you get up, you walk, you get up, you exercise. If you do something for yourself, you're going to feel better. You're going to think better. You're going to have mental clarity going into it. I have a challenge for you. Don't look at an email staff. Don't look at an email student until you get to class. Right before you get to class, right before you get to work, then you look at it. Don't look at it the night before because you're going to keep thinking about it. We got to clear your mind. But it takes a lot of courage to do that. And you know what? We have two incredible students who are going through it, who are dealing with it just like you. And I'm going to ask Grace and Jocelyn to speak first.
I'm coping with the pandemic by spending more time on things that I didn't make time for before that I really enjoy doing. For example, I'm getting more exercise, I'm spending more time in nature, and I'm reading a book outside of my English class. I think the most important one, though, is I'm getting to spend a lot of time with my family before I go off to college, and that feels really special.
It has been really difficult to stay positive during quarantine, especially finding out that we're probably not coming back this semester or this quarter. That was really hard, but there are certainly a lot of things to be positive about. For me, one of those things is how much time we have, to sleep in, which has been really nice, and B, for other hobbies, such as reading, which I recently got way back into, and it's amazing to be able to have so much time to really dive into a new hobby or a new activity that you really enjoy.
We all have a story. We're all dealing with this. So many students go, how do you deal with this? I've been through it. I've been at the bottom. I know what hopelessness feels like. I know what isolation feels like. I know what waking up without purpose feels like. When I was in Los Angeles, when I grew up in Los Angeles, my mom had me at a very young age. When she had me at the age of 16 years old, it was a struggle. I'll never forget, I came home in third grade. My mom was sitting down on the kitchen floor with her back up against the cupboard. She was crying so bad. And I looked at her, I said, what's wrong? She goes, go to your room. I said, why are you crying? She goes, Keith, go to your room. I was scared. I didn't know what was going on. I said, what happened? She goes, I got to do everything by myself. Just go to your room. And I was about to go to the room, but then I thought about it. She's doing everything by herself. So I came back and I said, where's my dad? Why isn't he here helping you? I was a little guy, 8 years old. My mom says something. She don't even know she said it. She looked at me, she goes, Keith, your dad wants nothing to do with this. Just go to your room. I walked in that room. I sat on the bed. I put my back up against the wall. I started looking at my body, and I kept looking at my body, and I was thinking, how can somebody out there be my dad, but he wants nothing to do with me? Started hitting my head up against the wall till I couldn't see anymore. And I never told her. She didn't know how to love herself, so she was looking for love. She went and found love. She thought she had it. She married this man, didn't even tell us they were getting married. They went off to Vegas and got married and came back, and he told me, I'm your dad. I'll never forget that day. At first, he was cool, but then he started getting abusive verbally. Then he became physically abusive. My sister and I thought he didn't like us. He didn't love us because we weren't his kids. I came home one day and our front table was shattered. Glass table was shattered. I walked into the bathroom, heard my mom crying, and when I saw her in that bathroom, her arms were all cut up. I said, what happened? She looked at me, she goes, Roger threw me through the table. It was horrible. They used to fist fight. Then he started abusing all of us. It got so bad, one night I walked in there when they were fighting. I said, dude, if you want to fight someone, you can fight me. I was 13 years old in 7th grade, and we fought. And when it was all said and done, my mom looked at me and said, why are you here starting problems? I walked out that door, and I knew they would come looking for me. But that night, they never did. Hey, I've been a CYA, California Youth Authority. I've been homeless. I was homeless that 7th grade for 6 months. I stayed with friends. We lived in cars. We stayed in hotels. I've been to the bottom. And I'm not telling you this story because it's your story. What I'm saying is this. I know that self-doubt. I know that fear. I know that sense of isolation. I know that feeling of I don't have purpose anymore. And I'm telling you right now, you're not the only one. So people always ask me when they hear my story, how did you make it? How does anybody make it? You can't do it on your own. You have to ask for help because there's people all around you that care so much about you that would love to help you. And you know what? You can probably help them.
Morning, class. What keeps me positive during this crazy times? Well, a couple things. One, getting outside, embracing some sort of nature. Even if you have a little funky pine tree in your backyard, sit next to that pine tree. Okay? Well, you might be thinking, I'm in an apartment, I don't have a yard. Well, Encinitas has got parks. Take a 5-10 minute walk and find a tree, sit next to it, climb it. I think that is super important. For me, I go down to the beach and I'm making these weird sculptures. And that's the other thing too, is I think it's really important to tap into that imagination, especially for you artists. Now you might be thinking, I'm not an artist. Well, it's there. You just got to tap into it. Maybe you play some songs. Maybe you do some facial expressions in the mirror and do some monologues. But you got to tap into that. Because we can do this, guys. Remember, be patient, keep making, and we got to encourage each other.
Hi Mustangs, this is Ms. De Jesus, one of the counselors here at SDA. So when our school closure hit last spring, it really made me think that it was like a sign that I needed to slow down. And so I followed that sign and I really stopped doing, so many thoughts in my head and so many responsibilities and additional stuff that I was doing. So I really did slow down in the spring and over the summer and had an opportunity to really get balanced and minimize and simplify my life. So that has been really, really good for me. And I've carried that into the fall. So that is one of the positives of this past 7-8 months, was being able to simplify my life and kind of get back to balance.
If you want to know how you make it through these times, you have to start to realize what's permanent in your life versus what's temporary. Write it down. Permanent versus temporary. What stops us from growing, what stops us from having purpose, what makes us want to give up is when something so bad in our life happens that we actually think it's who we are. We don't realize it's just part of our journey. We think it's permanent. All the struggle I grew up with, I thought it was permanent. I thought just being born in my family was permanent. Roger, my stepdad, who was abusive, was permanent. Struggling to pay the rent and pay the bills were permanent. Being homeless, being by myself, going to other people's homes, I thought was permanent. And it made me want to give up. It took my mindset to want better. I had this mindset of, I am tired of this. I want better. So the first thing I did was I got around people who were doing better. I got around people who were more encouraging. I got around people with the right mindset. I started asking for help. And people helped me. What I realized was the things that we were going through was temporary. This virtual learning is temporary. This pandemic is temporary. This social unrest, I believe, is temporary. This division is temporary. It will all get better because I know we as people will help make it better. Do an exercise. Write down the things right now you're struggling with. Write them down. And after you write them down, put a T or a P by each one. The ones with the T's is temporary. Stop putting all your energy in that. The ones that are P's, focus on that. Ask for help with that. Help others with the things that they're struggling with that are permanent. If you do these things, your mindset will change. When I was a freshman in high school, I was so lost and I told a teacher, why do you keep giving us the same work? And Miss Clark looked at me and she goes, it's going to be on a test. And she turned her back and everybody started laughing. So I said, this is stupid. When she turned back around, she looked at me. She goes, what did you say? Everybody in the class got quiet. I said, this is stupid. She goes, don't you ever say that again. And when they looked at me, students, I looked at her and I said, why? And she shook her head. And I never forget what she said. She goes, Keith, what you think is what you become. And you're not stupid. What are you thinking about what's going on today? Are you thinking we will get through this? Are you thinking this is just part of my journey? Are you thinking, you know what, this is a great time to become a better person? I had a lady in New Jersey on the phone the other day say, you know, the better days are behind us. I'm starting to think there's no more good people anymore. And at the end of the conversation, I said, hey, I know you don't think there's a lot of good people out there anymore. I know there's a lot of reasons why you think that. But when we get off the phone with each other, go look in the mirror. You might see a good person. If you don't see good out there, that doesn't mean you can't still be good. I want to leave you with this. I take this canister all around North America with me. And I always tell people, if this canister represents a human being, this canister has scratches on it, it has dents in it. I used to say that the human being was struggling. Now I realize this person is not struggling. This person is choosing to live. And as we choose to live, we will have struggle. On the inside of this canister, there's water. If the water represents what's good about people, their dreams, their hope, their faith, their future, their education, memories they create, people they help, their family, their friends, their real friends, there's good in all people, even though we're starting to see all these images of people not being good. In fact, watch what you're listening to. because it might be all this negative stuff. There's good in all people, but it's hard. Sometimes we forget about the dream. Sometimes we lose hope. Sometimes we stop caring. Sometimes we want to quit. We feel isolated. We believe doubt. Now we have all this fear. Some of us can't even get out of the bed. We don't think we can make it. Well, you know what? I came here today to say this. If we stop focusing on the things on the outside that are temporary and start focusing on who we are before this pandemic, who we are during the pandemic, who we will be after the pandemic, what I'm saying is if we can focus on what's permanent, the first thing you're going to realize is this. Oh, you know what? My dreams didn't leave me. Even if I leave my dreams. Yes, we want to give you hope, because if you have hope, you can give other people hope. Everybody's so focused on the future and stressed out about it. The future's overrated. That's a quote for you. The future's overrated. Today is underrated. What about today? Live it out today. Good and bad. Even when you wake up and you don't think there's nothing left, you need to look again. You need to think again. This is who you are. There's always something left. You've been through hard times before. And these are hard times you will go through, but you can get through. There's always something good left. But you gotta believe it. Mindset. Look at some of you guys going, man, I gotta get me one of those cups. Hey, do me a favor before we leave here for some little participation. Can everybody put their hand up like this, all the way up? Only if you have on deodorant? Okay, cool. Start going like this. Look at some people are like, hey. Put it under your chin. Cool. Is that your chin? Nah. Last time I checked, we call this the chin right down here. Hands down. The reason why I did that is because you've been listening to us for about 35 minutes. But one thing I realize is this. People don't follow what people say. They follow what people do. So if you're down, whatever you've been listening to, stop it. Whatever you've been watching, stop it. Listen to what brings you happiness, what brings you joy. Watch what encourages you and inspires you. Be an example so other people can be uplifted. Because you're not alone. We're not alone. Self-doubt wants you to think that, but it ain't true. Last one, put your left elbow up. Start rubbing your shoulders. Ha ha ha! Hands down. At first you did this. Now you're doing this. You're not going to get me twice, boy. Hands down. What I'm saying to you is this. The biggest room in the world is room for improvement. Things will get better. This world will improve because we have you. Don't give up. Don't quit. We need you. Keep moving. San Diego, until next time, thank you.